Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the July 13th Lebanon City Council meeting. Our first order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, move on to the roll call members. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Mike Kincaid.
Present.
Keith Campbell.
Here.
Sandra Dushanowski.
Here.
Dick Robertson.
Here.
John Copeland.
Here.
Sierra Messenger.
Present.
Robert Hawkins.
Here.
Thank you.
All members present, so we'll proceed. We have minutes from our April 27th meeting. Any changes or edits to those minutes? Motion approved. Is there a second? Second from Sierra. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved. Thank you, council. All right, on to old business. First item up here is Council Ordinance 2026-21. This is a rezone request for 2375 Shaker Lane. This ordinance is on second reading. Ben.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just do a really quick recap for us here as long as this computer is going to pull the screen up for me. This is a rezone request, and this is part of the original Shaker Square development that was proposed, as you can see here back in the 90s. And it was always planned to be additional multifamily that was developed on this parcel. It obviously did not move forward at that time. Our UDO and zoning ordinance has changed twice since that original proposal, and our zoning districts as well changed. And so now the general business district just doesn't really fit for what they're proposing to do out here. So this is a rezone request from general business to R6 to allow multifamily development to move forward. And this is actually doesn't show up on the screen real well, but they're looking at doing a townhome development on this property. It's actually a little less dense than what was originally proposed, but they're looking to do some townhomes out here on this property that requires the R6 zoning district in order for them to move forward. So this will still go through all of the required development plan phases, make sure drainage, utilities, all that good stuff works. But they want to get this zoning in place now to accommodate the use so they can move forward with those designs.
Questions for Ben concerning the ordinance? Okay, Rob, will have you read it, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Council Ordinance 2026-21, again, is an ordinance rezoning property and amending the zoning map of the city of Lebanon. As Ben indicated, the petitioner, Shaker Square, filed its application for rezone before the Lebanon Plan Commission, seeking to rezone approximately 4.69 acres described in Exhibits A and B from general business to residential R6 zoning. Lebanon Plan Commission conducted its public hearing on June 15, 2026, and voted 7-0 to send a favorable recommendation of the rezoning petition of the property and certified its recommendation to this body. This council finds as follows: Shaker Square LLC is the owner of the property. It seeks to have, again, 4.69 acres. Zone is set forth in Exhibits A and B from general business to R6 zoning classification. Council's paid reasonable regard to the applicable comprehensive plans, current conditions and character, current structures and uses in each district. From and after this date, the official zoning map of the city shall be changed to rezone the subject property from the general business to R6 residential zoning classification.
Rob? At this time, is there any public comment concerning ordinance 2026-21? Is there any council discussion?
Make a motion to approve ordinance 2026-21.
Motion approved. Is there a second? Second from Sierra. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved. Thank you, council. Next up, ordinance 2026-22 is concerning the Jackson Square Limited Partnership Pilot Agreement. Ben.
Thank you. Quick recap. I know you had a little bit of a longer presentation from the applicant at the last meeting, so I'll just give a real quick recap. This is a multifamily project. It's on South Lebanon Street, back behind the former Optum Medical Office building. 92 total units. There are two buildings that are part of this project. One of them is 40, actually they're each 46 units. One of them is a senior age-restricted 55-plus low-income housing multifamily project, and it did receive state low-income housing tax credits in support of that project, to help fund that project. So with that, there are some requirements for, again, age restriction, but then also it provides for low-income rental capped So to help provide some additional low-income housing for our senior residents in the community. As part of that, the state housing tax credit program does require local participation in the project, typically in the form of a pilot payment in lieu of tax. So in essence, for a period of time, they will be paying a pilot payment to the city that actually goes into a special housing fund that the city can use to support future affordable housing projects throughout the city. So I think their first payment is $12,000, and then it increases by 3% per year over the life of the pilot agreement. So that is what's before here tonight is an ordinance to set up that payment in lieu of tax agreement between us and the Jackson Square Limited Partnership. And so if there's any questions about that, I'd be happy to answer them.
Did the,
Go ahead, Sandra. Yep.
I'm sorry. Did the amount get taken care of and fixed on the resolution or on the paperwork?
Oh, yes.
Yes, I believe it's been updated now.
Because they were different, and I just want to make sure that they were corrected.
Yeah, I believe at the last meeting on the first page, it was changed from $12,000 to $6,000, and then it'll move to the $12,000 that's set forth in the pilot agreement.
Okay, thank you.
Ben, does the pilot agreement, does it apply to both projects or just strictly the low income or the tax credit?
Yeah, so it is just the 46 unit senior housing part of the project. The other 46 units, separate building, they will pay property tax just like any other market rate multifamily in the city.
Isn't there a term limit on that?
Yeah,
15, 20 years, something
I
like
think
that?
I want to say it's 15 years. Don't quote me on that until I find it, but but yes, it is term limited.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Ben?
Yeah, just to refresh my memory, the other units, other than the low income for the age restricted, the other ones, are they low income also or just?
They are
regular?
market rate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We did confirm it is 15 years on the
15,
term.
okay, good.
Yep. Questions for Ben? All right, I'll have Rob read the ordinance now.
Thank you, Mayor. Council Ordinance 2026-22, again, is an ordinance approving payment in lieu of taxes as provided by Indiana Code. Again, as we went through before, their Indiana Code Title 36, the pilot statute authorizes this council to adopt an ordinance to require a property owner to pay payments in lieu of taxes. That's defined as a pilot at times set forth in this ordinance. Indiana Code provides for a property tax exemption, again, for a project where improvements on the real property are constructed or rehabilitated for the purposes of providing housing to income-eligible persons under federal low-income housing tax credit program under Section 42 of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986. That's all defined as the code. The real property is subject to an extended use agreement under Section 42 of the code as administered by the Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority, or IHCDA. And the owner of the property has entered into agreement to make payments in lieu of taxes under the pilot statute, as Ben was alluding to and as we discussed at the last meeting. Whereas Jackson Square Limited Partnership has acquired the real estate in Boone County that's set forth in here to develop 46 units of affordable age restricting houses that's defined as the project. The owner will be entering into an extended use agreement with IHCDA that will continue for 40 years after completion of this construction of the project. The city and owner desire to enter into the pilot to facilitate the project and provide additional affordable housing in the city. The terms and conditions of the pilot are contained in the pilot agreement, which is attached as Exhibit A. Whereas this council finds that the foregoing recitals are incorporated by reference, it's found that the construction of the project will be of the benefit to the health and general welfare of the city and its citizens, and it does comply with the purposes and provisions of the pilot statute. The city hereby establishes a city's affordable housing fund pursuant to Indiana Code. The city is authorized and directed to administer the housing fund and shall use the housing fund for the following purposes. I'll just highlight this, but providing financial assistance to those individuals and families whose income is at or below 80% of Boone County, Indiana's median income for individuals and families. 2, paying expenses of administering the housing fund. 3, making grants or loans or loan guarantees for the development, rehabilitation, or financing of affordable housing for individuals and families whose income is at or below 80% of the county's median income for individuals and families respectively. And providing technical assistance to nonprofit developers of affordable housing. The rest of this ordinance authorizes the mayor and the clerk treasurer to take the steps necessary to implement this ordinance.
Thank you, Rob. Is there any public comment concerning ordinance 2026-22? John?
Paragraph 3, it says age restricted, and it talks about section 42. On my notes, we talked about that at the last meeting. We said age 55 and above. Under section 42, does it spell out the age group, or is that just something that we agree on?
I believe the 55 plus was part of their application for the tax credits. The section 42 is a section of the IRS code related to
Okay.
this. But yeah, I believe as part of their application for the tax credits, they specified 55 plus.
Oh, it's in writing that it's 55?
Yes.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Any additional questions, comments? Okay. Is there a motion concerning ordinance 2026-22?
Make a motion. We approve ordinance number 2026-22.
Motion approved from John. Is there a second? Second from Dick. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that is approved. Thank you, council. All right, that concludes what I have for old business. Anything from council? Okay, new business then. First item up here is ordinance 2026-23. This is concerning the Northgate PUD rezone and ordinance. Ben?
Thank you, Mayor. I will do a quick overview of this staff assessment of this project and then turn it over to the applicant to go into a more detailed presentation for you on their proposed development. So plan unit development, just a quick reminder, is a process that's set up in state statute that allows for cities to work with applicants essentially to write ordinances specific to the type of development that they're proposing. And staff works with the applicant on appropriate design and development standards. A lot of times where this come into play and where we want to use them primarily is when it's a mixed use proposal where we don't really have a zoning district that the entire development just fits under that zoning district. And we actually looked at this with the applicant. We've been working on this for quite a while to figure out whether there's a way to carve this up into just our standard zoning districts and make that work. And it went, by the time we got to the conclusion, we realized it was just easier to write the plan unit development ordinance, establish the sub-districts within those, apply the zoning districts to each one of those sub-districts, and then use that to regulate the development of this. So this is a true mixed-use development. This is at the northeast corner of State Road 39 and County Road 300 North on the north end of the community. It has its primary road frontage on State Road 39. It does have a small piece of it that's on County Road 300. But we've been working with them on a mixed-use development that would include some small commercial neighborhood type retail along State Road 39, some higher density multifamily type housing that would also kind of act as a transition use from the commercial retail to the more single family uses. And then a majority of the site, as the applicant will go into it, is a single family residential housing, a couple different product types. So really a true mixed use project. They are primarily meeting all of the standards of our ordinance. There's a couple of things that they massaged a little bit so it fit with what they were doing. But really the primary purpose for the PUD ordinance was really just to set up the sub-districts. And then from there, they really follow primarily all of our development standards. So something that really worked out well for us just to be able to set up those sub-districts by using the PUD ordinance. So just real quickly, this is, and the applicant will go through this in much more detail. This is a high level concept, just kind of showing how the site might develop. This is like step 2 in the process of multiple steps. They're going to have to come back in and get into further design on the site, do all the drainage calculations and reviews. We'll look at traffic studies to figure out how the traffic impacts of this might affect all the adjacent roadways and improvements that might be necessary. So this is a really high level concept that they're proposing. Again, the applicant will walk through in further detail. You can kind of see over on the left-hand side along the State Road 39 frontage, you're seeing a small little area of neighborhood retail, what would be more a higher density multifamily housing here. There are some opportunities maybe for some townhomes or duplexes that would be kind of the next wave of residential uses, and then transitioning to the more single family detached housing, which is a majority of the project. This kind of shows the breakdown of those sub-districts. And again, I'll let the applicant walk through these in more detail with you again as I'm walking through. And there is a significant park component to this that is a really nice part of this that you can really get into some creative ways to do those things in the PUD. And again, I won't steal their thunder on everything there, but that is a really major significant component of this is that central park district. So just one of the things, obviously, as with this goes through the steps, staff evaluation, plan commission recommendation, which occurred a couple weeks ago, and then here to the council for the PUD ordinance is one of the things we use as a guide. And this is just a guide. This isn't a legal document. It's not the law. This is our comprehensive plan future land use map. And you can't really see it from here. I can zoom in. But what this shows is in our future land use plan, this is essentially a five-year look ahead. We had shown, and you can't see it very well because the colors kind of mixed, but we had this mixed use category. We had intended for the 39-300 intersection to be a mixed use intersection. And in this context, really that mixed use designation would include some neighborhood type retail and then also some higher density residential housing. And that's essentially what they're proposing. The remainder of this site is single family residential housing. Again, they're tracking right along with what the future land use map had proposed for the site for mixed use closer to the 39-300 intersection and then additional single family detached housing. So with that, if there's any general questions for me, I'd be happy to answer any before I turn over to the applicant to walk through a more detailed presentation of the site for you.
It's the old Crane Nursery site.
It is. Yeah, that's a portion of it.
Thank you.
How many acres is it?
100 and a little over 150 acres, I think, in total.
Additional questions for Ben at this time? No. Okay, will the applicant come forward?
Good evening. My name is Scott Noel. I'm with Braun Property Development. I've got Adam Braun with Braun Property Development with me tonight as well. So thank you for the time. Just to get into the report in a little bit more detail, this is our first project in the city of Lebanon, and so just wanted to do a quick introduction to who we are since we haven't been able to meet the council previously. Again, our firm is Braun Property Development. We're a local developer. So we're born and raised in Zionsville and predominantly do our work in the Boone County area. So we've got quite a few projects down in the Whitestown area. Our big kind of how we conduct ourselves as a firm is kind of specialize in these bigger pieces of land where we can kind of get these mixed uses, mixed residential walkable neighborhoods. We kind of view as a key philosophical point of ours is 20 acres here, 20 acres here, a bunch of random conglomerations of developers and stakeholders. It works better to kind of do these bigger tracts where you can really kind of plan and work well with the community at hand. One other thing worth mentioning is we're also the parent company of Hallmark Homes. So we've had a presence here in Lebanon for 25 years or so. We built a bunch of houses there. So we acquired as part of a transition with previous ownership Hallmark Homes a couple of years ago. And so worth mentioning because we have the relationship with the city, but also we plan on being the home builder for much of this development. So I just want to add that context. And then final kind of thing here, just as I mentioned, we do these bigger master plan communities and we kind of take placemaking, the concept of that at heart, which is intergenerational mix of different people at various stages of life, socioeconomic backgrounds, and kind of creating these vibrant kind of communities that are focused on walkability and connection. We've got a couple of developments down in Whitestown that I've kind of cited here that are at various stages. Some have been completely completed on the east side of the legacy core area of Whitestown called Jackson Run. I'd encourage you to check out. Or we got Beckman Park, a 260-acre master development that we're in construction of. So just wanted to introduce who we are and kind of how philosophically how we are as a developer. I'll hit this really quickly because you guys obviously are living and know this very well, but obviously Lebanon is at an inflection point. There's been a lot of economic and job growth and investment in the community. I'm pulling a lot of this from part part of our planning is obviously we've been working with Ben on this for about 18 months, but obviously we take things like your guys, the city's comprehensive plan. There's a lot of great housing study related information in the recent Boone County Economic Development Study that came out. So some of these statistics kind of came from here, but you guys know it well, so I'll go through this quickly, but we need over 1,000, 1,200 or so residential units in the greater Boone County area, of which Lebanon represents a significant stake of that per year, going forward. So one of the things that kind of gets highlighted as part of this, obviously, pulling the quote directly from the comprehensive plan, Lebanon needs a range of housing options such as condos, townhomes, duplexes, senior housing, executive level homes. So it's kind of what we've been focusing as our North Star as we've kind of laid out this Northgate development, which is diverse needs, like I mentioned there. But we think we'll have everything from, a little bit more dense, the traditional multifamily all the way to, with Hallmark, we do a lot of custom homes. So it could get up to, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 homes within one development. Just really quickly making mention of our, how we've kind of gone through this process. Ben mentioned it, I mentioned it. We've been working with the city for a long time. We did a neighbors meeting in March at the library, invited all the neighbors and had a great meeting with them. These are just some of the highlights I'll go through, but we, talked about when are you guys breaking ground? Things like where we're starting seemed to be a big question. What the phasing plan, and I'll get into some of these things during my presentation here in terms of phasing. And then finally, there was people who said they were interested and they wanted to know about lot availability. So we like hearing that. So high level, Ben did a great job of introducing it. Again, this is straight from the comprehensive plan. The goal here is diverse housing types. Like I said, mixed density neighborhoods, thoughtfully community transitions between them. Quality of life, so really Ben mentioned the parks area, which I'll highlight in a second, but really focusing on connection and walkability. Smart development, so the city calls for, developing around these transportation corridors, which obviously 39 is a major corridor through the city, and then a focus on, kind of blending some of these things, workforce housing, neighborhood retail, those sorts of things. So this was kind of the guiding light, like I said, of our design. As Ben mentioned, we've got a decent amount of uses here within one development. So the PUD and these overlay district concepts, made the most sense, and that was the right approach for it. As you can see here, about 2/3 of the site is what we're calling the village district, which we'll get into the details here, but that represents single family detached, traditional neighborhood type of it. So that's about 100 of the 154 acres is that. And then we've included some, the towns district, which is about 15 acres, which is more townhome oriented, which we'll talk about. And obviously Terrace is similar in size. The market district is what we're calling kind of that neighborhood business area that is there on 39. And then we've got a substantial amount of the site is the park district. Starting quickly here with the park district, represents about 17.3 acres of the community. As you can see, and I believe one of the members asked about the nursery. So one of the things we like to do when we're thinking through laying out these designs is obviously lean into what is existing there and what are some of the great attributes. Every site has constraints, and then every site has attributes, and then some sites are just completely plain cornfields, and it's a little more of a blank slate. But for this site, we were super excited about the existing nursery there. Like I said, there are constraints in there. There's some wetland related areas, but there's a lot of nice trees and various other things that we wanted to kind of design through. So parks area incorporates a lot of that. We've got a separate large amenity area where this is just a rendering of a substantial clubhouse that we intend for all of our community stakeholders to be able to participate in. Next slide kind of represents some of the walking paths, and we've got some paths obviously through some of those wetland related areas. So we imagine, without all the planning being done at this stage, a couple miles worth of paths within the community to kind of really accentuate, what the site has offered, but also kind of establish connection, walkability, and interconnectedness of our developments. So as I mentioned, this is all spelled out in the PUD, and I won't bore you with going into too many details. I'll highlight a few things that are part of this. This came up with Mr. Campbell, so I thought I'd highlight it this time at Plan Commission, but obviously extending the driveway and the front setback there to make sure that, I think I joked that, a big truck used to be 20 feet used to be good enough. Now the trucks are large enough where 25 feet is the requirement there. So we've included that as part of our plan there in the village area. One thing I want to highlight too is we're big proponents of, you design these things for specific uses and find the densities and find things that are appropriate. But as best as we can, the miscellaneous rental houses within designated for sale areas is just not something that we particularly are fond of. And so we've kind of outlined here within the ordinance kind of direction for the association, that there'll be a master association that will take care of this entire development, and they'll have specific rental restrictions in their homeowners association, their covenants as part of this section. So the village section, just to specifically mention those rental restrictions, there are no legal entities allowed to own more than one particular unit. No more than 10% of total dwelling units may be rented. So we'll actually keep a ledger and keep track of not exceeding that number. No short-term rentals will be allowed. So the minimum contract length of any house in here would be a year for a long-term rental. They must be owner-occupied for the first year. So the goal here is to truly sell it to owner-occupied. People will go through hardship, life changes, various other things. So we definitely don't want to restrict their ability to do that. But the intent all along is to make it owner-occupied. And we'll have a procedure laid out in the covenants to how to address hardship issues and various other things. And then if rented, because those situations do occur, we will include a mandatory service plan needs to be provided to the homeowners association to make sure that it's taken care of. So these are just a few character exhibits. These are actual houses that we've built with Hallmark in Whitestown. So we kind of envision this type of housing or within that district. Next district is the Towns district. I will say, I think Ben mentioned there's just a few small deviations from the traditional R3 zoning. Otherwise, all of our other overlay districts match the ordinances of the given R3, in this case, R5 for the towns, et cetera, for perfectly to what's in the ordinances. So the only exceptions there are we actually brought down the density because R3 allowed 4.5, and we brought it down, saying that we've laid out the concept enough and it's far along that we understand that we don't need that much density. And then the other one is just, we've seen a very big demand for small ranches. So we lowered the minimum square footage of a ranch from 1,400 to 1,200. So there's a lot of maintenance-free empty nesters who are saying, they want smaller lots and they want a smaller house that can kind of meet their needs. And so we just reduced that a couple hundred square feet because we've seen that be massively popular. So like I mentioned, the Towns district, there's no deviation at all from R5. So it's just straight as can be. And again, we envision that being really, or that is called out specifically in the close proximity to 39. So again, these are some character exhibits of some different renderings that we're kind of envisioning there for that Towns district. You've got some attached, single story, attached two-story, and then this is a detached townhome product that I'm been in love with, and I really want to build that somewhere. So I included that in there as a potential option. The final or next district is the Terrace district. So again, this is just straight down the line R6 standard. So again, as we transition away from the 39 in the very neighborhood retail that we'll get to, we have some multifamily density in there. So again, these are just some character exhibits of what we're kind of thinking for the traditional apartments in the Terrace district. And then finally, the Market district. So this represents a total of about 6 acres. So that's just that frontage on 39. As you guys are aware, the ditch, Bunton Ditch there runs there and kind of cuts off some of that part. I know we were celebrating the previous meeting, some childcare uses or some neighborhood type of retail, but it'll be a small single or just a little bit. So we've got a couple images here of some just small neighborhood type of retail there. So again, this is one of the final elements of a walkable, connected neighborhood where you could walk down there and get a cup of coffee or get a ice cream with your kids at night or something like that. So that's kind of the vision for what we have there, but represents obviously a small portion of the site. Yeah, so kind of like I mentioned out of the gate and kind of in quick summary, a community for every season of life aligned with Lebanon's plan. So again, it's hard to prescribe life stages with certain types of units or type of residential living that people are in, but this really would like to incorporate all the way from, first-time home buyers all the way through empty nesters. I've obviously got growing families, active seniors in there. And then, like I said, just kind of hitting a lot of those highlights from the comprehensive plan and checking off a lot of those boxes, diverse housing, really meeting the community character that the city has, trail connectivity, obviously access to the big corridor, and then just the variety of mix of uses that's called out in the comp plan. Quickly on phasing, as I take a sip of water, one moment. Yeah, we kind of contemplate starting down on 339. That's where we're going to be designing the utilities to come from. And we'll try to activate as much as we can within that first phase. Really kind of view this, we broke this down into kind of 6 phases that could be 6 years with given the demand that we would anticipate, or it could stretch, more likely that 7, 8, 9 years or so to develop a 154-acre site like this. So this is just kind of a high-level overview of how we would anticipate the phasing. And then it just kind of is an accordion, according to what the demand is and how the market is taking on in the development. So again, this is just kind of in summary, like I mentioned, the overlay district. My final kind of overview to you guys is we are obviously local developer. We hope this is the first of many projects we have the benefit of doing in the city. We are passionate about a few of those things that I mentioned 5 or 6 times that I don't want to reiterate, but we take the responsibility of, we're changing the landscape and we're partnering with the city to invest into, create this thriving community, in tandem with what the wishes are for the city. And so we take that responsibility very seriously. And that's kind of the overview of the project.
Thank you, Scott. Any questions for Scott this time?
No, sir.
Okay. Rob, will have you read the ordinance?
All right, thank you, Mayor, Council. Ordinance 2026-23, again, is an ordinance amending ordinance number 2024-02, the Unified Development Ordinance of the city. This council entered into ordinance 2024-02, which again is defined as the Unified Development Ordinance pursuant to Indiana Code. The Lebanon Advisory Plan Commission considered petition docket number 26-22, requesting an amendment to the UDO and the zoning map with regard to the real estate that's set forth in Exhibit A, and that's defined as the real estate. The commission forwarded docket 26-22 after a public hearing to this council with a favorable recommendation, 7-0, in accordance with Indiana law. This council is subject to the provisions of Indiana Code and finds as follows. So this is several pages. It's about a 20-page ordinance. So I'm going to hit, as we've done before, the highlights and not reiterate what Ben and Scott said. But Section 1 talks about the applicability of the ordinance, the zoning map. Again, the official zoning map set forth in the UDO is changed to designate the land in Exhibit A as the Plan Unit Development, known as Northgate Plan Unit Development, PUD. The development talks about the provisions of the PUD that's set forth in here. Section 2 talks about the general project development standards. In 2.1 of that, it addresses the concept plan that's set forth in Exhibit B, and you saw that in Scott's presentation. 2 sets forth the 5 districts, again, the Village District, Towns District, Terrace District, Market District, and Park District. 3 discusses the phasing for the streets and street signs. 5 is the minimum open space. 6 is the perimeter landscaping and buffering. 7 talks about the owners association, the covenants. 8's the signage. 9's temporary structures. 10 addresses the traffic study. And then these, once we get into section 3 and we go through each of the districts, they start repeating themselves. So I'm going to just hit the highlights again because they're each the same. So it talks about the district intent for, and again, this is the village district, then the permitted uses, then the development standards, then the architectural standards, and then the homeowners association covenants. And again, that goes into, now we're into the town districts. It goes through each of those points. So I won't repeat those for the sake of some brevity here. And then we get through, the very end talks about the park district, again, the intent, the permitted uses, and the commitment here. And then this all will be in accordance with Indiana law after adoption.
Thank you, Rob. At this time, is there any public comment concerning ordinance 2026-23? Okay, we'll take that up for second reading in our next meeting, which will be July 27th at 7:15 p.m. Thank you, guys. Okay, next item, we have resolution 2026-29. This is an additional appropriation concerning fire truck repairs. Chief Batts.
This his computer?
Ben, that's your computer or their computer? Okay.
This additional appropriation is to replenish funds in our general fire truck repair line. It's a moving target, trying to plan ahead for fire truck repair. And we're halfway through the year, and we need to add more to that line.
Questions for Chief from the council? No, sir. Kelsey, I'll have you read, please.
Resolution 2026-29. The City of Lebanon is a duly formed municipal corporation within the state of Indiana and governed by its duly elected mayor and common council. It is the duty and responsibility of the council to maintain physical integrity of the finances of the city. At times, it becomes necessary to appropriate additional funds within the approved budget as contemplated and authorized under Indiana Code. It has been determined that it is now necessary to appropriate more money than was originally appropriated in the annual budget. All additional appropriations require a public hearing, of which the council has served proper notice in accordance with Indiana Code. Be it to resolve and adopted by the council in the city as follows. Resolution 2026-29 is to appropriate funds for truck repairs. The following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated out of Fund General Fire and for the purpose specified, subject to law governing the same, $50,000.
Thank you, Kelsey. At this time, I'll open the public hearing on resolution 2026-29. If you need any public comment concerning the resolution, please come forward. State your name for the record and keep comments to 3 minutes if possible.
Good evening, Jody Stewart, Boone County resident. A couple of questions. It seems like we are reappropriating funds for the fire department a lot. Do we not put anything into our annual budget to cover this stuff? Or did we limit our annual budget based on what we receive from TIF district? Or, I mean, what's going on here? I know we need to keep our fire trucks up to date, but,
So last year, based on the changes that happened with SCA 1, we essentially froze our city budget.
okay,
So we weren't able to make the adjustments based on budget restrictions.
you froze your city budgets.
Yes.
So you appropriated no funds for the police, for the fire.
No, we appropriated funds. We just weren't able, we just didn't change the amounts that were budgeted.
So you appropriated funds based on what you used the previous year?
All
Or
was
did you
previously
go
budgeted,
less?
correct.
Or did you go less?
No, but based on what was previously budgeted, yes.
Okay, because I know we did a brand-new purchase on a fire truck a year or two ago that just happened to come up that it was available. So I'm just questioning why we're reappropriating funds here. Thanks.
Any additional public comment? Seeing no sudden movements, I'll close the public hearing on resolution 2026-29. Any further discussion, comments from council?
Approve resolution 2026-29.
Second.
Motion to approve and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? That is approved. Thank you, council. Chief has another additional appropriation. Can I have a consent to take the agenda out of order? Consent? Okay. We'll move on to resolution 2026-33. This is additional appropriation concerning Fire Station 212 renovations. Chief.
So a quick backstory on Station 212. It went in service in 2001. We did a soft remodel in 2016, moving some interior walls, making it more open concept. We did an exterior remodel in 2020, changing out the stucco and adding hardy plank siding, new gutters. This is a significant remodel budgeted at $800,000, recognizing freezing the previous budget. We weren't allowed to go to council and appropriate those funds during budget time last year, and that's why we're doing the additional now to move forward with the remodel.
I wowould say for the viewers out there, if you could tell them which fire station this is, address-wise.
This is Fire Station 212 located at 18 East Anderson Lane.
So the one on the north side of town.
Yes.
And for the folks listening at home, what exactly are you going to be remodeling?
This is taking out all of the existing carpet. Much of the carpet that's in the station is original. It has wallpaper as wall coverings. This is going to be all new fixtures in the locker rooms, in the restrooms, epoxying the bay floor, doing some touch-ups on the HVAC. When it was designed as a residential HVAC, so we've had some challenges over the years with that. So that's going to be touched as well. Removing old wiring, restructuring the ventilation system in the attic. That's just a basic list of things, also including repainting the inside of the building.
Thank you.
The stairs are also going to be recovered as well. It has the original stair coverings from 2001.
Sounds like this might be a good time when all that's necessary so that we don't have to condemn it and build a new one. So it sounds like you're renovating at a good time.
Well, I feel like our department does a very good job of maintaining our buildings. Our firefighters are there for 24 hours a day. We do a lot of the maintenance in-house, a lot of the painting and different things, even some mild plumbing and electrical work. This is beyond the scope of on-duty firefighters, and we just felt like it was time for an inside and out facelift on Station 212.
Did we not have set aside $500,000?
That was proposed, but then that didn't make it into the final budget because of the freeze. That was discussed, and then I think when because of the changes and we froze the budget, that actually did not ever end up making it into the budget because the budget was frozen. So the discussion was we would just come and ask for the additional appropriations when the time came. Yep. Questions for Chief? No, sir. Okay. Kelsey, have you read it?
Resolution 2026-33. The City of Lebanon is a duly formed municipal corporation with the state of Indiana, governed by its duly elected mayor and common council. It is the duty and the responsibility of the council to maintain physical integrity of the finances of the city. At times, it becomes necessary to appropriate additional funds within the approved budget as contemplated and authorized under Indiana code. It has been determined that it is now necessary to appropriate more money than was originally appropriated in the annual budget. All additional appropriations require a public hearing, of which the council has served proper notice in accordance with Indiana code. Be it resolved and adopted by the council and the city as follows. Resolution 2026-33 is to appropriate funds for the Fire Station 212 renovation. The following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated out of Fund 2240, Lit Public Safety, and for the purpose specified subject to the law governing the same, $600,000.
Kelsey? Oh. 600 is the right number, though. It would have been less than what was noticed. Yep. The number is 600,000.
I have 8 on our paperwork.
Oh, I'm so sorry, it's 800,000. Yes,
Oh, it
sorry.
is 800?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry. Yep, 800. Yep,
So
sorry.
sorry.
Okay. Clarification, 800,000, not 600,000. Sorry, Chief, for your heart attack. Nothing, we're good. Okay, at this time then, I open the public hearing on Resolution 2026-33. If you put any public comment, please come forward, state your name and address for the record,
I have a
please.
quick question, Kelsey. Do you know what we have in that fund right now?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay.
Last I checked, it was between $4 and $5 million. Yes, go ahead.
Jody Stewart, Boone County rural resident. Okay, so we are reappropriating funds from the public safety line of credit, correct? $800,000.
So what we're actually doing is because it's not in the budget, we have to essentially appropriate the funds. So it's called a reappropriation, but it's actually an additional appropriation. We're not moving money. We're using funds that are in the public safety lit fund
Okay.
to pay for the repairs.
Okay, so the public safety lit fund also is for the city police, correct?
Yes.
So why are we appropriating so much money for the fire department, yet we're going to be asking the taxpayers to vote on a referendum to increase their property taxes to cover a new police station? Makes absolutely no sense to me that we are reappropriating funds for the fire department out of a line of credit, the lit fund, and we aren't able to
not-
do that for
it's-
the city police department to upgrade their, I'm speaking.
Well,
And then
I'm
you can
trying to
answer my
answer your
question.
question. So we're not,
So
it's
we
not a
aren't
line
able
of
to
credit. Jody.
reappropriate funds out of the lit money to do remodel work and upgrades to the inside of the city police building. We have to take out a loan and we have to build a brand new city police station. Am I understanding this correctly?
So one, it's not a line of credit. It's funds that are it's like in our bank account right now for the public safety fund.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
It's not a line of credit. It's like funds that are in our bank account right now
Okay.
for the lit public safety fund.
Okay, and that is to be used between police, correct? And fire, and what else is on our public safety fund?
Police and fire.
Okay, so why are we reappropriating money to upgrade a fire station that is not nearly as old as our police station? And why have we not reappropriated money to upgrade the police station that clearly has needed to be upgraded for years? Why was that overlooked? Why is that being brought before the city council right now?
So we have appropriated money out of the public safety fund to upgrade the police department over the years.
And what did that money go to?
So the difference is the current police station is 64 years old.
I understand that.
And when it was converted to a police station, it had 20 to 26 officers for the city of Lebanon. We currently have 46. So it is too small for our current purposes. Again, as I mentioned earlier, but there's between $4 to $5 million in that fund today. A new police,
sorry?
There's $4 to $5 million in that fund today.
Okay,
So we obviously cannot build a $30 to $35 million police station with $4 to $5 million. However, we can do improvements and investments in our current facilities that are the proper size based on the nature as a fire station to keep those buildings in good shape.
okay. So you're saying that you cannot reappropriate right now $3 to $5 million that you have in the fund to start doing upgrades to the city police department?
So
You're saying you can't do that?
we could. The problem is our current police station is too small. And especially when you think about the growth that's happening in Lebanon and where Lebanon will be 10, 15, 20, 50 years from now,
Okay,
the building of police station for the future is what we're pursuing as a city.
okay.
So because we could continue to sink money in that station, in that facility, yes, and we have been. We have been doing Band-Aid repairs to try to keep that station limping along. However, as I mentioned earlier, when it was built to be a police station, it was for 25 officers. We currently have 46. So it is too small for our current purposes, so we can continue investing money in a building that is not serving our purposes. Answer your question?
You answered the question for your benefit, but not for the taxpayers' benefit.
Jody, are you a resident of the city?
You're looking at a building that you're projecting 10 to 15 years down the road, what Lebanon is going to be forced with. Okay? But what you're not looking at is you have taxpayers right now that are strapped, and you're expecting them to foot the bill on something that, in my mind, that building should have been being maintained. Why wasn't it maintained?
It has been maintained.
No, it hasn't. Not if the police department is operating with out-of-date systems. Our police force is operating with a lower paid salary than most other forces in the area. It has not been maintained. You have not done a service to your police department. Thank you.
I would like to make a comment, if I may,
Please.
regarding the timing on the police station. I know we're getting into Chuck's time, but we do need a police station. And knowing that we need it and not working on it now is not a good strategy. Because if we have to do this in 10 years, that station will be $95 million. And the people at that time will be paying more. So this is a good thing to do in today in order to protect the taxpayers in the future. Thank you.
Yeah, we still have a public hearing ongoing. So is there any additional public comment concerning Resolution 2026-33? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing on Resolution 2026-33. Any final discussion, comments from council?
Apologize for speaking out of turn.
No, you're fine, Mike. It's public hearing. District comments? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve resolution 2026-33.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved. And sorry for the record, Sandra was the second on that as well. Okay, thank you, Chief.
Can I speak for a moment about our additional appropriations? I won't
Absolutely, sir.
take up too much of our time. We build our plans 20, 10, and 3 and 5 years out. When we go to replace something, it's planned, just like our SCBA system that was over 20 years old. We had that plan to be replaced. Unfortunately, that timeline fell into a position when we froze our budget. So we were not allowed to put that into our budget, and that's why I asked for an additional appropriation for it. The ladder truck, well, to begin with, our engines and ladders, we replace those every 10 years. We did get a ladder truck 1 year early. It was on the production line and the city of Hammond backed out of the contract. So we were able to get that at approximately about a $300,000 savings. So we did get a ladder truck 1 year early. Again, unfortunately, it fell within the timeline that we froze our budget. So it was not allowed to be put into our 2026 budget. And that's why I've asked for those additional appropriations describing the SCBA and the ladder truck. As far as the Station 211 additional appropriation that we requested, it was a decision by council to freeze the budget. And when they did that, you moved the Station 211 operating line out of COIT and reduced it. But you were very transparent with that. You told us that you were going to do that, knowing that probably midway through the year that we were going to have to come back and ask for additional funds for that operating budget to get through the rest of the year. So I just wanted to be transparent to the public. This has nothing to do with how the fire department has managed their assets. It was all planned out, and it fell at an inconvenient time when the budget was froze. And I would entertain any questions with that.
All good. Thank you, Chief. Okay, next up, Resolution 2026-30. This is just appropriation concerning road preservation. Kevin.
Thank you very much. Resolution 2026-30 is really for the Department of Public Works. Mr. Coddington is also in the room if you have any specific operational questions. But essentially, this is an additional appropriation from the Food and Beverage Fund, Fund 4439 for $500,000 that will be used towards preservation work. Preservation work is just a large, broad term we use for repaving streets, fixing potholes, anything that we do to preserve our streets. The first $255,523.56. This goes back to an MOU that you might remember that we approved between the city and the county for preservation work, for micro surfacing, for striping, some work that the county had already put under contract, but some of the annexations put some of those projects inside city limits. So rather than them skipping over some of those areas, we worked with them to break out those costs, and we have that agreement in place. So this is funding this is a funding request that will fund that agreement. And then roughly there's another $250,000 that can be used for other preservation treatments that the Department of Public Works will use responsibly as they deem necessary based on our 5-year pavement asset management plan. So just like police and fire departments think about their assets and how they manage those, we do that with our pavement as well. So that will be used to make the decision on the remaining funds that this additional appropriation puts forth.
Questions for Kevin?
Kevin, we didn't get any community crossing money this year, did we?
We did not.
Yeah.
No. And I should say, part of this is because also budget freezes and also House Enrolled Act 1 and some of the other legislative changes lowered the funds that were put into local road and street and motor vehicle highway. Thank you. Those are two funds that we get from the state, that the state allocates money to. It's a complicated formula on how they allocate those, but it's based on our lane miles, and it's down. It's down across the entire state, is down on what cities are getting in those two funds. So there's very little money in the budget this year for DPW, and they don't want to expend what they do have because that would be used for winter operations as we get to winter later in the year. So this is really to set them up so they can do some additional preservation work above and beyond what they're already self-performing with their total patcher, crack sealing, things like that they're already self-performing at really low cost because they're supplying all the labor for those materials.
Do you have any idea how much we're down from the gas tax?
Oh, I don't off the top of my head. I don't know, Kelsey, if you would. Yeah, I mean, it's like, I want to say in a few years ago, we were getting $700,000-800,000 in those two funds. And I want to say this year, it's like less than 200,000.
That's just because of the 3 months free so far.
Yeah, that has nothing to do, well, there's also the gas tax freeze that all weighs into that because we get monies allocated on an ongoing basis to MVH and local road and street. But yeah, those are things outside of our control, and those funds aren't fed by tax levy.
Kevin, is the state still giving out community crossing grants?
That's a complicated question. They've drastically reduced the funding to that program and are now requiring cities to enact wheel taxes in order to be eligible, which we do not have a wheel tax. So I believe there will be one more round.
There's two pots. They went to one call. They went to one call for community crossings, which we kind of always use the call that they eliminated, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But then they have two pots of money now that have been reduced. One is for everybody, and then there's a special pot for communities that just have a wheel tax. That have a wheel tax.
Right.
We do not have a wheel tax, so we cannot access that second pot. So all the communities that don't have a wheel tax and communities that do have wheel tax are all trying to get from that first pot. So it has become significantly more competitive program. And also
it was like a $100 million to $20 million funding cut at the state level on what was available to communities to go after for community crossing grants.
Weren't we getting 200,000 or 300,000 a year from that for a couple of years?
At one time, we were getting as much as probably about $500,000 every year. But we also, at that time we were doing that, we usually had another $500,000 in MVH and LRS that we could put towards a match to double our money. Now because of the funding cuts at the state level, we don't have that match, which is really the reason why we did not apply for this last round of community crossings, because we just didn't have the funding available to put that match in.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Kevin?
No, sir.
Okay. Kelsey, have you read it, please?
Resolution 2026-30. The City of Lebanon is a duly formed municipal corporation within the state of Indiana, governed by its duly elected mayor and common council. It is the duty and the responsibility of the council to maintain physical integrity of the finances of the city. At times, it becomes necessary to appropriate additional funds within the approved budget as contemplated and authorized under Indiana Code. It has been determined that it is now necessary to appropriate more money than was originally appropriated in the annual budget. All additional appropriations require a public hearing of which the council has served proper notice in accordance to Indiana Code. Be it resolved and adopted by the city or by the common council of the city as follows. Resolution 2026-30 is to appropriate funds for food and beverage road preservation. The following additional sum of money are hereby appropriated out of Fund 4439 Food and Beverage, and for the purpose specified, subject to law governing the same, $500,000.
Kelsey, at this time, I'll open the public hearing on Resolution 2026-30. If you need public comment, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, please, and keep comment to 3 minutes if possible. Seeing no sudden movements, I will close the public hearing on Resolution 2026-30. Any final discussion from council?
Are we looking in the food and beverage fund?
We were about just $1.5 million last I saw. Yeah, about $1.5 million. We're exceeding. We're right around $70,000 or so a month in collections into those. So it's gone up significantly. Yes. Yeah. So the free balance is the 1.5. Mm-hmm.
Almost 1.5 million in there right now, according to.
Correct. Yep. Oh, thank you, Dick. I was trying to remember the last time I saw it. So, But again, that also replenishes every month with the collections.
We just need to leave enough for our grants.
Or what?
The
Our grants, yes, absolutely. We'll leave plenty of room for that, yes.
Make a motion, we approve resolution 2026-30.
Motion to approve, is there a second?
Second.
Second from Rob. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved. Thank you, council. All right, next up, this is 2026-31. This is a additional appropriation concerning the Elm Swamp Nice drainage ditch. Kevin.
Thank you very much. This is, as you mentioned, 2631 is for $318,094. This is out of fund number 6510, which is the Stormwater Operating Fund. So again, this is one of these revenue funds that we collect stormwater fees that's on your utility bills. And so we are looking to allocate or appropriate $318,000 from that fund towards two projects. One, Elm Swamp Road from Anderson Lane up to 300 North. This is for the design of a road reconstruction project in that area, just for design, just for engineering. And we're putting that in stormwater because really we're trying to fix some major drainage problems along that corridor. If you're familiar with that, there's a lot of standing water that exists, particularly along the east side of Elm Swamp Road, north of the Lutheran Church, south of the Chadwick neighborhood. And then the other one was an appropriation that was actually in the budget for last year. The project bled into 2026, and because we didn't foresee that, we didn't allocate the remaining portion of that allocation into 2026. So just to close out that contract and pay our final bill to the contractor for the Nice ditch improvements associated with the 100 South and 400 East roundabout. There's $18,094 there. That's basically the balance of retainage that we have on that contract to close that out. So, two drainage projects totaling $318,094.
Questions on that for Kevin? Okay. Also agree, please.
Resolution 2026-31. The City of Lebanon is a duly formed municipal corporation within the state of Indiana, governed by the duly elected mayor and common council. It is a duty and the responsibility of the council to maintain physical integrity of the finances of the city. At times, it becomes necessary to appropriate additional funds within the approved budget as contemplated and authorized under Indiana Code. It has been determined that it is now necessary to appropriate more money than was originally appropriated in the annual budget. All additional appropriations require a public hearing, of which the council has served proper notice in accordance to Indiana Code. To be resolved and adopted by the council of the city as follows. Resolution 2026-31 is to appropriate funds from food and beverage road preservation. Am I reading the right one? Yes. The following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated out of 6510 stormwater operating and for the purpose specified, subject to law governing the same. $318,094.
Kelsey? At this time, I'll open the public hearing on resolution 2026-31. If you need public comment, please come forward, state your name, address for the record, and keep comments to 3 minutes if possible. Seeing no sudden movements, I will close the public hearing on resolution 2026-31. Any further discussion, comments from council?
Question.
Dick? Yep.
Section 1, does that read appropriate?
Oh, yeah, that is incorrect. It should be the stormwater operating.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, good catch, Dick. Yeah, that should be, it's correct in section 2. So yeah, anybody want to make a motion to amend section 1 to?
I would make a motion that we amend section 1 to read the stormwater fund.
Operating.
And I'll
Yeah.
second that.
Motion is second to amend. Again, this is just a vote on the amendment. All those here of the amendment say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you for catching that, Dick. That's a lot of additional preparations tonight, obviously. Any further discussion, comments from council?
No, sir.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve as amended?
I make a
Motion we
motion.
approve resolution 2026-31.
As amended?
Say nothing.
As amended?
As amended.
As amended. Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Keith. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved. Thank you, council. And thank you, Kevin. Okay, next up, this will be Resolution 2026-32. This is additional appropriation concerning the police headquarters spin.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. This additional appropriation is for a couple of different projects. The first is the Abner Longley Perimeter Path, which, as you know, is currently under construction. This was a 2025 project that actually had received a food and beverage appropriation in 2025. The dots didn't connect at the end of the year, and the funds weren't encumbered into 2026. And so now, as we're looking how best to fund these projects from food and beverage or other sources, it was decided that this project needed to be funded from a different source. And so that is the first project. Again, I said that's a project that's already under construction. I think we already have at least one invoice that is hanging out waiting to be paid until we appropriate the funds. That project is a little over $400,000. I think it's just short of $420,000 of this total request. The remainder of the request is for the acquisition of 4 properties on Meridian Street in the planning for the police headquarters site. I believe the acquisition costs are about $750,000. And when we estimated the broker commissions, closing costs, et cetera, it's just short of $800,000 that we need to set aside for the acquisition of those 4 properties on Meridian Street. So that's the total request is before you here, just a little over $1.2 million for the property acquisition associated with the police headquarters and the Abner Longley Perimeter Path. I did want to mention we have over the last few years started using a new title company, Centurion Title, and anytime that there is appropriation of funding request for property acquisition, the motion made to approve needs to include the following line, and it's that a portion of the appropriation is for the purchase of 224, 232, 304, and 310 South Meridian Street. So just in the motion to approve the appropriation, the resolution for the appropriation request, we need to add that to the motion in order to satisfy the title company.
Said 224, 232.
224, 232, 304, and 310 South Meridian Street. So
Thank you.
in the motion to approve the resolution, you just need to also mention that the portion of the appropriations for the purchase of those 4 properties. And we do have the closings tentatively scheduled for the end of July. And so we will need the motion tonight. And then also apparently they would like a copy of the minutes specifying that motion in order for us to close in a timely fashion at the end of the month. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Ben? Okay. Kelsey, have you read, please?
Resolution 2026-32. The City of Lebanon is a duly formed municipal corporation within the state of Indiana, governed by its duly elected mayor and city council. It is the duty and responsibility of the council to maintain physical integrity of the finances of the city. At times, it becomes necessary to appropriate additional funds within the approved budget as contemplated and authorized under Indiana Code. It has been determined that it is now necessary to appropriate more money than was originally appropriated in the annual budget. All additional appropriations require a public hearing of which the council has served proper notice in accordance with Indiana Code. Be it resolved and adopted by the council of the city as follows. Resolution 2026-32 is to appropriate funds for the police headquarters and Abner Longley. In Fund 22241 Litco share for the purpose specified, subject to law governing the same, $1,213,410.
Thank you, Kelsey. At this time, I'll open the public hearing on Resolution 2026-32. If you need public comment, please come forward, state your name for the record and address as well, and keep comments 3 minutes if possible.
Okay, Jody Stewart, Boone County resident. So this money is being appropriated from the LIT fund, correct?
We received a special distribution from the state, yes.
A special distribution from the state for what?
Local income tax collections.
Okay, so the state is going to give money to buy the properties, is that correct?
No. This is the city of Lebanon. The way income tax works is the state collects income tax, and then distributes it to the municipalities, counties, all the entities. The issue is sometimes that they hold on to it for too much, and once it reaches a certain threshold, they do a larger disbursement out to the entities. And so this year, we kind of received how much was the total amount, Gus? Do you remember? Was that
I think it was 1.8.
about $1.8 million of City of Lebanon revenue that is to us, but it was held on the state, and then it has been released to us.
Okay, so
So
my,
it's local funds. It's not state funds. It's local funds. They just are coming through the state.
okay, so my question is, we are purchasing these properties with the assumption that the referendum that is being put up for vote from the city of Lebanon to vote on whether or not the city residents would like to agree to have their property taxes increase and build a police station. Correct so far?
Sure.
Okay. What happens if that referendum does not pass? What happens to this money that is being spent?
Well, like I said, as been mentioned, the closing scheduled for end of the month. So we would be closing on the properties prior to the referendum.
Correct? So what happens to this property that you're buying with lit funds, which are supposed to be going toward the police and the fire department? What happens if that referendum does not pass? What happens to the money that is being spent? Are the taxpayer, how are you going to repay this? I guess is my question. Are the taxpayers going to be expected to pay for something that they've decided that they don't want?
Repay what?
The money that you're using, the $800,000 or whatever that you're using to purchase the properties. If the city does not pass this referendum, you've now bought 4 properties, correct?
Yeah, so it'd be city property.
Huh?
So it would be city property.
City
Yes.
property, right. So you've purchased that with lit money, basically, which should have went to the police department or the fire department.
No, that's a special fund. This is different.
Okay.
We receive general fund lit as well. That's separate from public safety lit.
Okay, so how do you plan on repaying that money?
There's no repayment. It's
That you're
dollars.
buying this property for, because you're
Again-
buying this property based on the fact that you're planning to use it for the police department. So you're using money, right? You're using taxpayer money
Yep.
to purchase property. Taxpayer money cannot be used for non-public purposes. So if you're using taxpayer money to purchase a property that is supposedly, hopefully, going to be used for the police department,
So it would be city property.
right?
Yep. So it's a public purpose. So buying property is a public purpose.
Buying property for the city is not a public purpose.
It is.
What are you going to use it for? If your referendum does not pass, you cannot use that for a non-public purpose.
And that would be a decision by the city council.
Okay. So the taxpayers are just on the hook for $800,000 because,
They're not on the hook. The money's in our account today.
okay, I'm just making sure.
Thank you, Jody.
That's already been collected.
Sandra, I'm sorry.
That was already collected, so it's.
Correct, yeah. Yeah, the state collected more and had more than they should have given us more money before that, so. Yes, next.
Hi, I'm Shy. Many of you guys know me. So I just had a question. If you guys are willing to allocate funds to Adler, Longley, or Southside Park, why are those funds also not eligible for other city parks such as Rolling Meadows Kitty Park?
That's a different fund.
It's a big difference, and the thing
What you're
about
talking about is a different fund.
Hold on, Dick. Sandra's talking.
You know, the park fund comes,
Dick, Sandra's talking. Good.
it's a big difference for that, and it's not that we don't want to fund it, but we're looking at it as a whole. All the parks in the city have access. They have they have lighting, they have everything that we have to have liability-wise to even operate.
I don't
And
think you guys are getting my question. My question is, you guys are allocating funds for a trail for Southside Park, is just what I'm gonna call it. But there's no funds that are gonna be able to be allocated towards any other parks, such as?
That park is totally different. It's not a public park. It's going to end up being a neighborhood park, if that's what you want to call it. But it's not something that I personally want to spend all the taxpayers' money in my district to put it there. There's a lot of other areas that we're spending money on that are access to the public, and the public's happy with that.
Well, it's
But
been
I-
a city-owned park since 1996 when the city made it a park. It never had an HOA or anything like that. It was, the city got it from Donald Lambert. They bought it, they made it a city park. That was 28 years ago, 29 years ago. So why cannot have funds allocated towards that? There are lighting, even though it's street lighting, it's in a distance, but there's also, that's happened at Memorial, that's happened at Southside. There's been many times that it's just about maintenance and keeping it up to date. And unfortunately, this park has not been up to date, and it has the original playground that the city put in it 29 years ago.
I appreciate your concern about that. It's just a matter of, we have to look at it as a whole for all of the taxpayers and what we can do with their money everywhere, not just for one neighborhood. It has to benefit everybody. And that's pretty much what our parks do.
But are there not grants? Because that's what a lot of, I know Memorial just got a grant and got new playground put in. Waste Management donated a grant towards the dog park. So it doesn't have to be taxpayer money as long as the city is willing to help get those grants, because that was something 2 years ago I was told to get the grants myself. Me as a taxpayer, I should not have to get grants on my own. It's a city-ran park.
But you can do that. You have that opportunity.
Correct, but it's a city-owned park.
The city owns it, that's the problem.
We have other city,
Name on it.
we have other city-owned parks that don't have playgrounds and stuff on it. We have the Arboretum out on 39. Giant property, doesn't have any playground equipment on it. We have, what is the other park over at Reese Park? They don't have any playground, it's just green space. So there are properties that the city owns that are technically considered parks that don't have any playground equipment or anything on it. And to your, close to this one, we are building another $10 million park, like a mile and so away. That's going to be able to benefit, the better parking, better access, if we're going to be spending X amount of money, it's probably going to be towards a bigger park so more people can enjoy it at the same time. We have things at the park right now that it's hard for John Messenger, with him running the parks, to update all the playground equipment that we already currently have, because the budget's so tight that sometimes when stuff breaks, it's hard to get the right parts in time and stuff, because some of our playgrounds and stuff are really old. So we've been slowly but surely updating everything and trying to get all of our playgrounds that we do have new and great for the community. So I think that I personally feel that with the park being so close, the new park being so close to that park, I personally don't want to put taxpayer money into another smaller park, because you can go right down the road and have great amenities. So that's how I feel.
Why aren't we looking at the bigger options? We have the Big Four Trail that's going to be going right through where this other park is. Why are we not connecting all of our city parks through our Big Four Trail? If we're wanting that Big Four Trail to go out to Westfield or other towns, why are we not looking at that of, hey, we want people to bike through here, we want people to spend their money through here? Doesn't it make sense that, okay, if we're going to do that, let's connect all of our big things, our parks?
creating trails to try to connect them all. The schools kind of would have the trails that connect into the big
That's
four
what I'm
trails.
saying.
Yes,
It's
into
on
the
Whit Road, which is
park.
right where the kiddie park is. You take Whit Road, you turn right on Thomas, and the park is on Thomas.
Right, but what I'm saying is, right there, we have a park, the new park right
Off of
on
Lafayette.
Lafayette, that's real close to the trail that's going through there. So, and I'm sure that we'll probably, I mean, I can't speak for it, but that park will probably be connected with sidewalks and everything will be accessible. I've not seen the plan.
Which would be public access.
Yeah.
So a public park with public access just being grass, because it takes 12 minutes for 2 people to mow it and weed eat it. So that's just what we want to turn it into, is just grass. And how does that improve Lebanon?
Not the city's responsibility to create playgrounds in every single neighborhood. It is nice that we own that spot in there, but with the budgets being so tight, we physically, or the city can't afford to put playgrounds in every single neighborhood. It'd be really awesome if we could, but
But I'm
unfortunately
not
we
asking for
can't.
it to be recreated. I'm asking that it be taken care of, because I'm pretty sure that there's an ordinance that states that anything that is not able to be repaired, it has to be replaced. And yet everything that's been unable to be repaired has just been removed.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one either, but we have been taking care of it, though. It has been maintained as a green space, which is what right now everybody's agreed on. And I'm sure we'll get to a point where we have to decide which way we're going to go with that. But it is being taken care of and maintained very well by the Parks Department.
So is the maintaining just mowing it? Is that what you guys consider maintaining? Because 2 years ago, I came to the Parks Department and reported the fact that there was a metal stake sticking out of the ground. And that's when 2 weeks later, they finally took care of getting this metal stake that had been sticking out of the ground for at least a year. So, I mean, what is your guys' definition of maintaining, I guess, is my question for you. Is it just mowing the grass? Is it replacing the swings because they're cracked and they're faded? Is it replacing the chains on the swings? I mean, all we have left is a slide that you slide down it and it's metal, and a swing set, because everything else has been taken out. Yes, we just got a grill in because I continue to email city council and request for a grill. 2 years ago, I asked for benches, and we just now got picnic tables. It's not that hard to get small things. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for your comments. Additional public comment?
Real quick. Fellas, what happened with the park is that several years ago, somebody made a mistake from the city. They put their name on it, okay? I don't know who it was. I wasn't here at that time. Whatever. They put their name on that deed, right? You guys are accountable for that. Over the years, you haven't stuck a dime in it. Other people have mowed it. Other people have taken care of it all these years while your name was on the deed, all right? Now it's time to step up. You guys have been mowing it here for the last couple of years. Did a great job. Love you, city guys. They do fine, all right? What makes a difference if my tax dollars and an HOA pay for that damn thing, or my taxes do? What's the difference? None. I pay my taxes. My taxes go up every year, and you guys are the ones who up it. Let's get a little consideration down here. We're not asking for $50,000. We're not asking for $20,000. We're asking for a couple of pieces of freaking play equipment for these kids in the neighborhood. There is a sidewalk that goes back to that, but most of the kids, and the people who live there know this, that the kids cut in between the two houses on the one side, but a lot of the kids go down the sidewalk too. Kids ride their bicycles up there. Yes, in the past, there's been some teenagers that did some dastardly things up there, but the city didn't really do a whole lot about it at the time. They sure didn't take the equipment out and put new equipment in when they tore it up, because the stuff sat there for years. I don't know what else to say, guys. I mean, it all bails on you. And Ms. Jankowski, you ought to be helping us here. It's your neighborhood. People in my neighborhood are not going to look at you wisely for standing up against this. It's not just my daughter. She's put a petition out. She got over 100 signatures in our neighborhood. Over 100. Somebody asked for some signatures today, didn't you, Dick?
I did.
And she told you, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
All right. Somebody else said some smart things on the internet too. We've got copies of it. They want to keep saying shit. So what the hell? Get with it.
Additional public comment? Additional public comment? You need to come to the microphone if you want to say something. No? Okay.
It's hard to hear out
Okay.
here.
I can't hear anything out here. Struggle to hear you guys up there because the speakers aren't.
Any additional comment? All right, with that, I'll close the public hearing on resolution 2026-32. Any further discussion, comments from council?
No, sir.
If there's a motion, again, please include the disclaimer for the title company that has said a portion of the appropriation is for the purchase of 224, 232, 304, and 310 South Meridian Street. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Go, Tendra, yep.
Speak closer to the mic.
Okay, and resolution 2026-32. And a portion of this, I move that we approve this, and a portion of the appropriation, because I can't read my notes, go to 224, 232, 304, and 310 South Meridian Street.
Okay, thank you. Motion, is there a second? Second. Second from Rob. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That resolution is approved. Thank you, council. All right, next up, this will be resolution 2026-34. This is disappropriation concerning downtown phase 2 safe streets. Kevin.
Thank you very much. 2026-34 is for a total of $79,500. This really involves two projects. The first one is the downtown phase 2 planning study. So this is similar to some of the other conversations we've had tonight. This was for a study that was initiated and budgeted in 2025. The money did not get rolled over into 2026. So we need to allocate the remaining portion of that project so we can finish this. Again, this is just looking at the surrounding area around the courthouse square. And this is an engineering study, not really a planning study, but an engineering study that looks at the infrastructure on those blocks and what would it take to continue to expand the rework, the finishes, the fixtures, the equipment that we did around the square. So that is for $29,500. The second portion of this is for $50,000 for what you would call a Safe Streets for All plan, or at the federal level, it's referred to as SS4A. So we received a federal grant from the Federal Highway Administration to conduct a citywide audit and safety plan for our streets and to develop strategies for making them safer. This is all part of a federal highway initiative to try to get to zero fatalities on our streets. So we received a grant from Federal Highway for $200,000, but we need to allocate $50,000 to match that $200,000 that we've gotten through the grant. So Again, $29,500 to complete the Phase 2 downtown study, and then $50,000 as a matching grant to a $250,000 project to prepare our Safe Streets for All plan.
I do just want to highlight, this is proposed out of the planning non-reverting fund. So these are paid by the permit fees that go through the planning department. The previous one that we can use for anything, that's the fund it's coming out of. So it's using the planning non-reverting fund to essentially pay for these planning and engineering documents that'll, for planning for the city. So
For the public's benefit, is funded through permit fees paid by developers and builders,
So not taxes, just.
not tax money.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
The study, does that include some of the lighting that we were looking at before last year?
That's in a different study. That's studied through a bond that was issued at the end of 2024.
We will have something with that coming up soon, actually, Sandra.
Okay.
And so Kevin and I, that'll be later. Probably not this month, but probably
I
later
know
on
it
this
was
summer.
farther out
I
than the
think we're targeting the
square.
first meeting in August to make another presentation. We've received updated budget information on the citywide lighting study, and we're just evaluating that before we want to present it to everybody. So.
The downtown study, though, did look at street lighting, if I remember correctly. So there was some of that component in it, but that was more about just essentially the larger square around the downtown square, right? Those kind of 9 blocks. Yeah. So, any other questions for Kevin from the board or council? Okay. Kelsey?
Resolution 2026-34. The City of Lebanon is a duly formed municipal corporation within the state of Indiana, governed by its duly elected mayor and common council. It is the duty and the responsibility of the council to maintain physical integrity of the finances of the city. At times, it becomes necessary to appropriate additional funds within the approved budget as contemplated and authorized under Indiana code. It has been determined that it is now necessary to appropriate more money than the originally appropriated in the annual budget. All additional appropriations require a public hearing, of which the council has served proper notice in accordance to Indiana code. Be it resolved and adopted by the council of the city as follows. Resolution 2026-34 is to appropriate funds for downtown phase 2 and Safe Streets for All plan. The following additional sum of money is hereby appropriated out of Fund 2506, planning non-reverting for the purpose specified subject to law governing the same, $79,500.
Thank you, Kelsey. All right, at this time, I'll open the public hearing on Resolution 2026-34. If you need public comment, please come forward. State your name and address for the record, please. Seeing no sudden movements, I will close the public hearing on Resolution 2026-34. Any further discussion, comments from council? Is there a motion?
Motion we approve resolution 2026-34.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second from Sierra. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that is approved. Thank you, council. Do we need to recess or should we keep going?
Keep going.
Keep checking? All right, sounds good. All right, next up will be Resolution 2026-35. This is district appropriation concerning Witt Road. Kevin.
Thank you very much. This is another additional appropriation from Fund 1101-1101, which is the general fund. This is for $300,000 for Witt Road. As most of you are probably aware, we've been going through the process of designing for reconstruction of Witt Road from Lafayette Avenue to just north of Austin Drive. That also has a federal grant associated with it. But as we go through the process, it is now time for us to engage a construction inspection consultant to consult with us as we on constructability, and then as well as overseeing construction and testing of materials as we go through the project. So this is not the entire construction inspection contract. This is really just what we need to get us through the end of the year. Towards the end of the year, we will be looking at funding the remainder of the construction contract, as well as funding the local match for the NDOT grant. So This is for $300,000 to get us started on the construction inspection contract for Whit Road.
Any questions on that for Kevin?
No, sir.
Okay. With that, Kelsey?
Resolution 2026-35. The City of Lebanon is a duly formed municipal corporation within the state of Indiana, governed by its duly elected mayor and common council. It is the duty and responsibility of the council to maintain physical integrity of the finances of the city. At times, it becomes necessary to appropriate additional funds within the approved budget as contemplated and authorized under Indiana code. It has been determined that it is now necessary to appropriate more money than originally appropriated in the annual budget. All additional appropriations require a public hearing of which the council has served proper notice in accordance with Indiana code. Be it resolved and adopted by the council in the city as follows. Resolution 2026-35 is to appropriate funds for Whit Road. The following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated out of 1101 general and for the purpose specified, subject to law and governing of the same, $300,000.
Thank you, Kelsey. At this time, I'll open the public hearing on Resolution 2026-35. If you need public comment, please come forward, state your name and address the record, please. Seeing no sudden movement, I will close the public hearing on Resolution 2026-35. Any further discussion, comments from council?
No, sir.
I would make a motion that we approve Resolution 2026-35.
Second.
We have a motion approved and a second from Mike. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved. Thank you, council. All right, I think that finishes the additional appropriations tonight. Thank you, Kelsey. You drew the short straw when you filled in for Tanya for this meeting, didn't you? Sorry. Okay, next up will be Resolution 2026-36. This is approving the designation of certain territory as an allocation area and IDD agreement concerning Project Matrix, Eli Lilly Medicine Foundry. So I'll have Rob kind of introduce this and explain this to the council.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Council. As you may recall, a couple years ago now, the IEDC provided notice to the city designated under a fairly new statute at the time, an Innovation Development District or an IDD area for Project Grasslands. And that's what we now call the IDD number 1. That process was under somewhat of a former statute, but the methodology is still the same. And what I'll just kind of touch base at a high level, and then I'll get into specifics with this. But what it does is it's much like when we set up tax increment financing or TIF allocations areas for the process of economic development. So what the Indiana legislature did in 2022 is they created this new statute called, again, Innovation Development Districts. And the IEDC, state of Indiana, designated, again, about 600 acres for that IDD number 1 Project Grasslands. What the statute and the Indiana legislature do is they then contemplate that the executive, in this case, the mayor, would then follow through with that process and acknowledge the designation from the state of Indiana, and then we would follow through and set that up. In talking with the mayor a couple years ago, what he wanted to do is make sure that this council, I know a couple of you may not have been on there at that time, but at least we're able to understand what was going on. We put that in a resolution acknowledging, you acknowledged that the mayor received the letter for Project Grasslands, designated again the first Lilly area, and then authorized the mayor to take the necessary steps to set up the allocation area. Indiana legislature has made a few changes since then, most notably in 2025. But in August of 2025, the state of Indiana designated a second additional IDD, and that's what, as the mayor indicated, and that's what's set in this resolution 2026-36. It's the Medicine Foundry or Matrix. So just for lack of a better term, I'll go through this in a minute, but we're calling this the IDD 2. So what the IEDC said is they wanted to designate this essentially 200 acres where the Medicine Foundry is located. So on the southwest side of Project LEAP, again, is an IDD area, and that it would have an effective date in March 2025, and then the Indiana legislature defines a base assessment date as basically the prior year, January, so January 1, 2025. What the legislature has also then changed is that the executive, in this case, again, the mayor, then now would set the base assessment date. And so I'm going to go through and show why we memorialized all this. It's a little change. And then provide some additional notices to various taxing units, including the DLGF. And then now requires the executive and IEDC would enter into an IDD agreement. So you have 4 exhibits that are attached to this resolution, and I'll go through it. You may recall a couple years ago when we did the IDD 1 that we also entered into an IDD agreement, but it was not mandated at that time. But again, the mayor thought, for just the purposes of memorializing everything, that we would have that. We'd have a record. We had allowed this council to acknowledge receipt of that. So we memorialized everything in that process. Essentially, we're following that similar path. Again, and I'll go through and hit this, that you're acknowledging that the mayor received this and that the state of Indiana, or the IEDC, is designating this as an IDD, and that the mayor agrees with that, and that we're setting the base assessed date at January 1, 2025, okay? And then, as you probably know, we're in the process of phase 2 of the financing involving Project LEAP. So the IDD 1 is the state portion of the revenues are pledged to that, but just to reiterate again, for the benefit of you all and so the public, 12% the tax, personal and property and real property revenues will be pooled together from a proportionate share that will go to the city, the school, and then the county. So I don't know, do you have anything else you want to add? I'll go through the resolution.
Yeah, I just, the other point I would say is that we don't, as a city of Lebanon, we don't actually have any authority to accept or deny the IDD designation. Because it's over the $2 billion threshold, the state can just declare that to be, right? So this really more is for us to say, we did receive it. We're setting the base year, all those things, but it really is not a decision of should it or should it not be an IDD. It's already been declared that by the state. Essentially, it's up to us now to recognize that, acknowledge that, if that makes sense. When we did that previously, we kind of did it voluntarily, just we thought it was best practice to do that. I guess the legislature saw that and said, hey, yeah, that's a good decision. From now on, everybody has to do that. So that's kind of what this does, just to clarify that for everybody. So, are there any questions? Yes, sir, John.
On paragraph 9, it talks about the 12%. It says city, county, and the school corporation. It's not a breakdown. What is the breakdown, and is it listed somewhere else?
Yeah. So one, I do want to clarify. So it's the school based on where the parcels are, right? So on the first IDD, a portion of that is in Washington Township. So it's actually outside of Center Township, which means it's actually in the Western Boone School District. For this one, this is all in Center Township. So this is all Lebanon School Corporation. So just to clarify, it's not like it all comes to Lebanon. The first IDD, some of that money actually is going to Western Boone schools, not Lebanon schools. So it's based on those school territories.
So is that the county aspect of it?
No, that's just the school portion. Then there's also the county aspect. So actually, I gave Dick an example earlier today. So, and obviously this is just rough numbers. Let's say Lily's pays $1,000 in property taxes. Obviously, they're paying way more than $1,000, but just to make the numbers easy for everybody, right? So we're talking about the 12%. So we're talking about the $120 of that $1,000 property taxes collected. So what they will do is essentially that $120 is distributed between those 3 entities. So like, let's say we had the school tax rate. Let's say it's 50% of the property tax rate. The city is 40% of the property tax rate, and the county is 10% of the county tax rate. So that would then divide the $120, 50% of it, so $60 would go to the schools, $48 based on 40% would go to the city, and then the remaining $12 would go to the county based on the 10%. So they literally add up the tax rates of Lebanon, Boone County, and whatever school district is, and then based on a percentage of that is and how that 12% is then distributed to those entities. So we're getting whatever our percentage of the three tax rates added together is of the 12%. Does that make sense? So what I said earlier, right, Dick, to explain it?
Yes, you did.
Okay. Yes, Sandra.
And I have some questions here that one of the constituents that she wanted to be here tonight, she's been at several meetings, and she's sent these to me to ask. So, and she's got imprint on the IDD, the Eli Lilly Medicine Foundry. The incentive agreement attached as an Exhibit B has the company's average wage figure redacted. Since this district is projected to capture hundreds of millions in public tax increments, could staff explain why that figure is blacked out and whether the council has seen that or not, the actual amount?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we questioned before is, do we need to attach that agreement to this resolution period? And so in working with the state, some of the provisions were subject to confidentiality provisions between it and Eli Lilly. And they said, yeah, we're okay for you to use this so long as those certain provisions will be redacted. So,
So those came to us redacted.
yeah, yeah. And as just as a way of benefit, we did not have this in the first agreement.
Next question. The agreement says, and it's on the same resolution, the agreement says the captured funds go first to LEAP district debt and infrastructure. Does that infrastructure include the wastewater/outfall 002 project? If so, are ratepayers or this tax increment covering it?
So that is the 88% collection the state has, not our 12%. Our 12% is not pledged or committed to anything. That's what I proposed. We've used property tax rebates from, and for other city projects we would want to use it for. So our 12% is not pledged. The 88% is what the state has pledged to those infrastructure projects.
And that's all that I have from her. I have one from me. Project Grasslands.
Yes.
So this is going to be something developed in that area right there, right?
Project Grasslands is already developed. That's the northern Eli Lilly sites, LP1, LP2. Yeah, that was the code name. That was the project code name of it. It was Project Grasslands and Project Desert, I think. Project Grasslands is the large API, the LP1, the big site. And then Project Desert was the smaller gene therapy site, LP2, that is currently open. Project Matrix was the medicine foundry, which is out on State Road 32, which is what we're talking about tonight. But Grasslands was LP1, LP2.
That was before my time. I guess that's
Yep.
why I didn't know what that was.
Yep.
So is that something to do with Lily's foundry or whatever going to go in there then?
The foundry is Project Matrix. And again, these all have, when they start coming through, they have code names. So you don't necessarily always know who the companies are.
Right.
So Project Matrix is the medicine foundry. Grasslands is the large pharmaceutical manufacturing facility north of town. Project Desert was the gene therapy site up on the north side of town as well too. So Grasslands and Desert are the first IDD. Project Matrix is the second IDD. Okay.
And then back to hers, just so that she can see that they can't see the redacted amounts, correct?
My understanding is that it is all subject to confidentiality provisions that else, if we would have had it unredacted, it would have been provided, but it was given to us redacted.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I would just make sure there's any other questions or concerns before we had it read. Yeah, Rob?
And again, just to reiterate, and I'll try to hit the highlights, but there have been some statutory changes that now designate the executive, again, the mayor, that he is required to do certain things that wasn't in place during the first resolution that we did. So, All right, thank you, Mayor Council. Resolution 2026-36 is again a resolution of this council acknowledging the designation of certain territory as an allocation area pursuant to Indiana Code and approving the execution of an agreement in connection with the establishment of an innovation development district. Pursuant to Indiana Code 367325 et sec, the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, or the IEDC, may designate certain territory within the jurisdiction of a city, town, or county or territory as an innovation development district for the purposes of capturing certain incremental tax revenues to assist in the creation and support of advanced industry business investment Indiana or transformative businesses for a period not to exceed 30 years. In connection with the establishment of an innovation development district within the city of Lebanon, the city and the IEDC entered in a certain memorandum of understanding, and that's attached as Exhibit A. It was approved pursuant to this council resolution 2024-26 on December 9th, 2024, or adopted on December 9th, 2024, which among other things set forth certain commitments of the city and IEDC in connection with the existing and future innovation development districts to be established within the city. Pursuant to, in accordance with Indiana law, on August 7th, 2025, the effective date, the IEDC designated certain territory within the jurisdiction of the city as an innovation development district. And that's defined, for clarification purposes, the Medicine Foundry IDD. As set forth in the notice to the city that was dated August 12, 2025, and that's attached here as Exhibit B, and that's also defined as the notice. Such territory being more particularly described, again, in Exhibit C, and that, just as a point of clarification, the notice had a legal description that was meets and bounds, and Exhibit C has the updated parcel information as well as a map that you can see, and that outlines the Medicine Foundry. As provided in the notice, the IEDC anticipated capturing approximately $199,438,804 in state and sales taxes, as well as $585,309,509 in real and personal property taxes within the territory over the life of the Medicine Foundry IDD. Pursuant to Section 13, this is one of the changes, upon IEDC's designation of the territory as the Medicine Foundry IDD, the executive, or the mayor in this case, of the city shall designate the Medicine Foundry IDD as an allocation area, and we define that as allocation area, for the purposes of allocation and distribution of property taxes assessed on taxable real and personal property used for commercial and industrial purposes in the allocation area set forth in Section 14 of the Act. The IEDC request, pursuant to the notice, that the city take all necessary steps required by the Act to establish the allocation area within the Medicine Foundry IDD. Pursuant to the notice, the mayor has determined that the Medicine Foundry IDD shall be designated as an allocation area in accordance with Section 13 of the Act. This council hereby acknowledges the mayor's designation of the Medicine Foundry IDD as an allocation area. Pursuant to the Act, the mayor must not later than August 1 of the calendar year immediately following the designation of the Medicine Foundry IDD as an allocation area. That's a full mouth, but set the base assessed value of the allocation area and deliver notice of designation to the Boone County Auditor, the Indiana Department of Local Governmental Finance, or the DLGF, and to each taxing unit that has authority to levy property taxes in the geographical area where the Medicine Foundry IDD is located. Again, these are new provisions. Pursuant to the Act, the base assessed value is determined for the assessment date immediately preceding the effective date of the designation by the IEDC of the Medicine Foundry. And accordingly, the mayor sets the base assessed value of the allocation area as of January 1, 2025. That is not a new area, that was the same. Okay, so we're following the similar methodology as I indicated as we did a couple years ago. In accordance with the requirements set forth in Section 12, the city and IEDC desire to enter into the agreement attached here as Exhibit D, and that's defined as the Medicine Foundry IDD agreement, which among other things provides that not less than 12% of the annual incremental property tax revenue captured within the Medicine Foundry IDD and deposited into the Medicine Foundry Fund established by the IEDC, and that's defined as the Medicine Foundry IDD Fund, will be distributed to the general fund of the city, Boone County, Indiana, which is defined as the county or the school corporation, defined as a school corporation within the territory, and that's defined as the local minimum distribution. And then it sets forth the remaining 88% of the annual incremental property tax revenue captured within that Medicine Foundry IDD or the excess distribution will be deposited into the Medicine Foundry IDD Fund and used pursuant to purposes consistent with the Act. In addition to the minimum distribution, the IEDC may distribute certain portions of the excess distribution to the city that may be used for the purposes outlined in the agreement. And that's set forth in the Exhibit D here. So, therefore, this council finds as follows. The council acknowledges the mayor's designation of the Medicine Foundry IDD as an allocation area pursuant to Indiana Code 36732.5-13 and directs and authorizes the mayor to execute such documents and agreements as may be necessary for the designation of the Medicine Foundry IDD as an allocation area for purposes of the Act. This council acknowledges the mayor's designation of the base assessed value of the allocation area as of January 1, 2025 pursuant to the Act. This council also directs the mayor to provide a copy of this resolution to serve as notice to the Boone County Auditor, the DLGF, and the taxing bodies of the mayor's designation of the Medicine Foundry IDD as an allocation area and the determination by the mayor that the base assessed value of the allocation area is as of January 1, 2025. The assessment date immediately preceding the effective date of the Medicine Foundry IDD, and that's straight from the statute. This council finds and determines it's in the best interest of the city to enter into the Medicine Foundry IDD agreement and approves the Medicine Foundry IDD agreement in substantially the form attached here too. It authorizes the mayor and or the clerk treasurer to execute and deliver the IDD agreement in substantially the form presented at this meeting, with such changes in form or substance as the mayor and legal counsel shall approve, as evidenced by execution thereof, and execute any other agreements as may be reasonably necessary to effectuate the foregoing resolutions. And this resolution shall be in full force and effect after its adoption.
Thank you, Rob. I know there's a lot. Questions,
There's
concerns?
only the one on 32, correct?
Correct. This is strictly just the one on 32.
Thank you.
Correct. I do want to make a point and do highlight, and Rob, you can back me up on this, but the statute is a little bit, I'll say unclear, but it kind of gives an option of whether or not it would be just the city and the school corporation, or is it city or county. We are leaning to be more neighborly, obviously, with the county, to include them in this. The statute kind of contemplates maybe potentially an either or, not necessarily an and both, but we are kind of siding on to say we want to include the county in the distributions of the IDD funds. So I just did want to highlight that, that obviously the county will receive revenue from these projects as well too. It's not just the city and the schools. So I did want to highlight that for the record for everybody. So any other questions or comments I can answer for you guys?
No, sir.
Okay. And is there any public comment concerning resolution 2026-36? Okay. Any motions?
Make a motion that we approve. Oh,
Sorry, did you pull your microphone, please?
I'm going to have to abstain from this one because I need to do some more research on this, and we just got it at 4:28 today. And I need to do a lot more reading to make sure I know what I'm voting on. And I'm sorry, but I'm going to abstain from this.
Just as a point of clarification, it did go out with the packet when Kelly Cook sent everything out last Friday. Well, all I did was assimilate the exhibits in one PDF, so you weren't having to pull through a bunch of different PDFs.
Okay, I didn't see that in there. Well, then that's my fault.
Yep.
But I do need to do a little more research so that I know what I'm signing. So.
Further questions? Rob, you had a motion?
I make a motion that we approve resolution 2026-36.
Motion approved. Is there a second? Second. A second from Dick. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Opposed or
Opposed. Okay.
I'm abstaining, but I just wanted to make sure.
Well, you can either abstain or you can be oppose. Abstaining? Yes. Okay. That resolution passes 6-0 with one abstaining. Okay. Next up, resolution 2026-37. And this is a essentially agreement with Orla, or Kevin, right? You're on this one. Approving to facilitate County Road 200 West construction with Orla LLC and IEDC in the city of Lebanon. Or Rob, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think it has, Kevin, I know you and I've been involved in this a lot. So if you want to hit the highlights, then I can touch, or if you want me to, either one.
Yeah, I'll let Rob hit the legal.
I saw
aspect.
construction, assumed it was you. I apologize.
No, I've been very much involved. But as far as this agreement, it's my expertise is really just making sure the proper descriptions of projects and specifications and governing standards are properly incorporated. So this is an agreement between the IEDC, Orla, and the city governing the construction of 200 West, or actually what I think will be called Leap Boulevard West, that will extend from the new roundabout that the state is building at State Road 32 and 200 West. It will extend north and connect to what will become old US 52, and that will then in turn connect up to the new 52 interchange. But this project is just governing that new construction from 52 to 32.
Kevin, what is Orla?
Orla is the entity that Meta is organized under for the development of the data center site.
They're the owner of the property
Yes.
It was Project Domino, but Orla is the owner of the property, approximately 1,453 acres.
Yeah, but what does it stand for?
It's the name of their entity.
Oh, okay.
It's just a legal entity.
Okay.
And they're a Delaware limited liability company.
Okay.
So, yeah. And I just as way of background, because Kevin and I have been involved in discussions with this. So this is, as you may recall, 2 or 3 months ago, this council approved an infrastructure agreement between Orla and the city that was involving essentially the general agreement with County Road 200 West. IEDC was not a party to the agreement. So what this agreement is intending to do is to help facilitate that construction. It incorporates the infrastructure agreement that you all already approved. It also has, as I understand it, this is your lane, but there's a dead-end construction road that's being developed. And then there's going to be a fair amount of right-of-way that's ultimately going to be dedicated and given to the city. So in essence, there's an access agreement because the IEDC owns a lot of this property, and it's allowing for the construction onto the IEDC's land. It's going to reincorporate certain standards, involve the dead-end construction of the road, and then ultimately it has exhibits in there that'll deal with the conveyance of the right-of-way and acceptance to the city, as well as incorporate, again, the infrastructure agreement. Is that
to elaborate a little bit, the 200 West project, as it's defined in the agreement, also includes improvements to Dead End Road. So Dead End Road comes off of 250 West and parallels the Big Four Trail, and dead ends just west of I-65. So the new 200 West will cross that, and there will be a new intersection created with turn lanes at that location. And then to create a haul road for deliveries to the Meta construction site, it will improve Dead End Road from 200 West to 250 West. It will include the improvements at the intersection of 250 West, and then will include improvements to 250 West from Dead End Road to their north site, which is basically the limits of Deer Creek, if I remember correctly. So that portion of 250 West is a gravel road. It will become a paved road. With this, it would also include certain pedestrian improvements where the Big Four Trail crosses 250 West. It also includes a minor relocation of the Big Four Trail where it will cross near the intersection of 200 West and Dead End Road. So there's a lot of miscellaneous improvements that are also defined as the 200 West project per the agreement.
So Dead End Road will no longer become a dead end?
At least west of the new 200 West, it will not be a dead end. It will still remain to the east. It will still be a gravel road. Keep in mind, Dead End Road and 250 West will probably be relocated into some or reconstructed into some different fashion at some point in the future if there is another LEAP project in that area.
Kevin, are they going to build a pedestrian bridge for the trail over?
Not building a pedestrian bridge. They are building pedestrian actuated, what we call rapid flashing beacons. So as you come up to the trail, you'll be able to hit a button similar to the flashing beacons out here, crossing over to the Brakeman project where the lights turn on and flash, requiring cars to stop and give right of way to people on the trail. And there will be what we would call a refuge island in the middle of the road. So you won't have to cross 4 lanes of traffic. You'd cross 2 lanes of traffic in a turn lane. There will be a refuge island in the center of the road. And then you could continue crossing if you needed to.
Thank you.
I actually think that might be safe enough. I mean, I'm picturing that road to be really pretty busy maybe at times, and
it could be busy at times. It's actually only going to be designed and signed at 35 miles an hour, but it will be a 4-lane road. A little precarious. I'd love to see a bridge, but that's not something that is in the agreement or was ever envisioned to be in the agreement.
it'll be an industrial type road design through there, isn't it?
Essentially, yeah. It'll be a boulevard cross section with landscape medians.
I'd more say urban core than industrial. I'd say urban core, not industrial.
Right. It's industrial from the pavement cross section. It's designed for heavy traffic. But the corridor will be 4 lanes, 2 in each direction, a landscape median, tree lawns with trees, with decorative lighting, 10-foot asphalt paths on both sides of the road that will also connect to the Big Four.
It'll be more of an industrial street than it will be an urban street.
Well, I think at some point this will go right through the village center that is envisioned in the LEAP district master
Overall
plan. Yeah.
No, it'll be more of a 2-lane downtown street versus a business park type street.
Would it be worth looking into some type of like speed bump or some type of like, I don't know, I know with heavy,
Speed tables, maybe?
like, yeah, or, sometimes they put like the vibration beads on the road just to help people slow down before. I just hate if people are not going to be seen. I don't know how, we'll see how it looks, but I didn't know if any of those had been thought about being implemented.
We're still, right now, the corridor is partly under construction. We have released mass earthwork based on drainage approvals, but it's just to move dirt at this point. We are still reviewing the construction documents that will be used to build the corridor. So we've already added a lot of things like those rapid flashing beacons and things of that nature. We weren't planning to add speed tables. That's definitely something we could consider and we could bring to the IEDC and Orla team and see if what their thoughts would be. I'm not sure I fully see the necessity, but I don't disagree that I wouldn't have a problem if speed tables or pavement rumble strips were added in. Those could also be effective ways.
Probably not a problem now, but 10 years from now it will be.
Well, and I think I'm glad you said that because we don't know exactly what the village center will look like, when the village center would be executed. So we'll have other projects adjacent to the road and opportunities to say, well, the 10-foot trail now needs to be a 16-foot trail because we're going to have urban buildings on the corridor. Those are things that we might have to say. We might have to say we need to add a speed table in the future. We might want to talk about pedestrian bridges in the future. But for right now, given the volume of traffic that's projected on the road, as well as the trail, we think this is sufficient, what's in the agreement. Again, still working out the details. Happy to take some of those comments if we need to, if that's.
I have another question here from Sarah Goss, that's the constituent. She said the road agreement conveys right-of-way for future water, sewer, and drainage lines. Where are those lines planned to discharge? And does this road approval assume the Eagle Creek outfall that's still supposedly under review?
The road project does not include any utility improvements. The road project would envision corridors that future utilities could be built within.
It's right of way, just like other in town, right? We have right of way where our water mains and our wastewater lines are going. Like that's what the right of way is for. It's nothing to do with the larger wastewater project.
Right. There are no water or wastewater infrastructure pieces associated with this road project. There is drainage. The drainage outlets will drain to the local regulated drains, the local ditches, creeks that are on the corridor. It's a 2-mile corridor, so there's a pretty healthy, there's a pretty large number of discharge points for the drainage. But it's all locally drained.
It looks like you've answered that question, and thank you.
Yeah, I'll have Rob read, please.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Resolution 2026-37 is a resolution approving an agreement to facilitate the County Road 200 West construction project. Whereas Orla is defined as the developer, is the owner. Again, this is approximately 1,437 acres of real property located within the city's LEAP district that's defined as the property. The developer and the city entered into an infrastructure agreement for certain road and infrastructure improvements to be made by the developer as authorized in Resolution 2026-02, which I was talking about earlier, that was approved by this council. Whereas in connection with the development of the property, the developer and the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, or the IEDC, and the city desired to enter into an agreement to facilitate County Road West construction project, which includes certain conveyance of property to the city to be used as right-of-way in substantially the form attached as Exhibit A, and that's defined as the agreement, which provides for, among other things, certain agreements regarding road and infrastructure improvements related to 200 West and the dead-end road reconstruction, access and conveyance of right-of-way. Whereas to foster investment and economic development within the city, the council has determined it's in the best interest of the city to enter into the agreement with the developer and the IEDC. Therefore, this council finds that the proposed agreement, substantially the form attached as Exhibit A, is hereby approved. The mayor is authorized to execute the agreement and any other agreements and documents as may be necessary in connection with the agreement with such changes with this agreement or other agreements as the mayor shall approve upon the advice of legal counsel, which approval shall be evidenced by the execution by the mayor. This resolution shall be in full force and effect immediately upon its adoption.
Any further questions, comments, concerns?
No, sir.
I would ask that any motion include, be subject to legal review and final technical review as we're still working through the final construction documents.
Any public comment concerning Resolution 2026-37? Is there a motion from council?
I'll make a motion, we approve Resolution 2026-37, subject to all legal reviews.
I'll second that.
And technical? Legal and technical. Yep, okay. Motion and a second from Keith. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved. Thank you, council. Okay, any announcements or discussion from council? Move on to claim. Oh, go ahead, Sandra. Okay. Motion concerning the claims?
Make a motion
We
to
pay claims.
Wow, that was exactly the same. I'm gonna give it to Rob. Motion from Rob, is there a second?
Nope.
Second from pay the claims. Anybody pay the bills?
I'll second.
Second from Sandra. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Our next city council meeting will be July 27th at 7:15 PM. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion adjourned
Second.
from Dick, second from Sandra. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We are adjourned.